Imagine a vast underground city sprawling beneath the iconic pyramids of Giza, hidden for thousands of years. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, recent headlines claim that Italian and Scottish researchers have uncovered evidence of massive structures, possibly an entire city, buried 2,000 feet under the Giza Plateau. But is this groundbreaking archaeology or just another wild theory? Today, we're diving into the claims, the science, and the skepticism to figure out what's really going on beneath the sands of Egypt. Stick around because this is going to be a wild ride. According to a report from Indy 100, a team led by researchers like Filippo Biondi from the University of Strathclyde and Corrado Malanga from the University of Pisa used advanced radar technology, specifically synthetic aperture radar (SAR), to detect what they describe as a massive underground complex beneath the Giza pyramids. They claim to have found 8 cylinder-shaped structures stretching over 2,100 feet deep under the Khafre pyramid, with similar structures now reported under the Menkaure pyramid. They even suggest that these could be a part of a subterranean network connecting all 3 Giza pyramids, Khufu, Khafre and Menkaure. The researchers go further, proposing these structures are around 38,000 years old, built by a lost, advanced civilization that was wiped out by a global catastrophe like a comet around 12,800 years ago. If true, this would rewrite history, suggesting a civilization far older and more advanced than anything we know from ancient Egypt, which built the pyramids around 4,500 years ago. But before we get carried away, let's take a closer look at the evidence and the skepticism surrounding these claims. The researchers claim they use synthetic aperture radar, a technology that sends radar waves from satellites to create high-resolution images of what's beneath the Earth's surface. Unlike ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, which is limited to depths of a few tens of meters, SAR can theoretically penetrate deeper in certain conditions. But here's where things get tricky. Experts like Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, and other archaeologists argue that SAR can't reliably detect structures 2,000 feet over 600 metres underground. That's deeper than most modern skyscrapers are tall. The problem? Dense materials like the limestone and sand around Giza scatter light waves, making it nearly impossible to get clear images at such depths. Critics like Hussein Abdel Bashir, an Egyptologist, have called these claims quote-unquote science fiction, pointing out that the study hasn't been peer-reviewed or published in a reputable scientific journal. Without independent verification, the radar data could be misinterpreted or worse, exaggerated. Could these structures just be natural geological formations like caves or faults? We'll come back to that, but first let's talk about water, a key piece of this puzzle. One clue that might explain these underground structures is water. The Giza Plateau wasn't always a desert. Around 4,500 years ago, during the African humid period, the Sahara was a verdant savanna with rivers and lakes. A 2022 study by Shisha and colleagues found that an ancient branch of the Nile, called the Aramat branch, ran straight up to the Giza Plateau, likely used to transport stones for pyramid construction. Some researchers, like Dr. Emin Ghonaim, suggest this waterway could explain why pyramids were clustered in this area. But what does this have to do with underground cities? Well, water can carve out massive underground systems over time. Think caves, aquifers, or even ancient water channels. The radar signals interpreted as quote-unquote cylindrical structures or pillars could actually be natural formations caused by groundwater flow or erosion. For example, the researchers noted signs of water erosion on some pyramid stones and salt incrustations inside the Great Pyramid, which they claim suggest a massive flood. But critics like Zahi Hawass argue this is just natural weathering, not evidence of a submerged city. So could these structures simply be remnants of an ancient water system mistaken for something more fantastic? Let's dig deeper into the wilder claim, a 38,000-year-old civilization. The researchers claim these underground structures are 38,000 years old, built by a lost civilization that predates the pyramids by tens of thousands of years. They tie this to a supposed global catastrophe around 12,800 years ago, possibly linked to the Younger Dryas period, when a sudden climate shift may have been triggered by a comet impact. The idea isn't new. It's been popularised by figures like Graham Hancock, who argue advanced civilizations existed long before recorded history. But here's the catch. There's no archaeological evidence for an advanced civilization 38,000 years ago. At that time, humans were mostly hunter-gatherers living in small groups, not building massive underground cities. The oldest known monumental structure, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, is about 11,000 years old, and it's far cry from a high-tech metropolis. Experts like Professor Conyers point out that people back then were living in caves, not constructing elaborate subterranean complexes. The researchers' claim of a megastructure surviving a global catastrophe also raises questions. Why would only the underground parts survive and not a single part of this civilization above ground? Without physical artifacts like tools or pottery, this theory leans heavily on speculation, not evidence. So says Professor Conyers. So, is there a hidden city beneath the Giza pyramids? Right now the evidence is shaky at best. The radar data is intriguing, but without peer review or physical excavation, it's hard to trust claims of a 38,000-year-old city. The groundwater explanation, natural caves, or ancient water channels seems far more plausible given what we know about the Giza Plateau's geological history. Critics like Zahi Hawass and Hussein Abdel Bashir emphasise that extraordinary claims always require extraordinary evidence, and so far we don't have it. That said, the mystery of the pyramids keeps us hooked for a reason. They're full of secrets we're still uncovering, like the big void found in the Giza pyramid in 2017. Future excavations or better technology might reveal something new. For now, the hidden city sounds more like a fascinating theory than a proven fact. What do you think? Is there a lost civilization waiting to be found? Or is this just another pyramid myth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the Giza mystery. If you enjoyed the video, hit the button, subscribe and ring the bell for more ancient history and science breakdowns. Let's keep exploring the past together. Until next time, stay inquisitive.